In 21 Jump Street, filmmakers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller took an earnest cop show from the 1980s and revived it with subversive comedic energy. Now Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum reprise their roles as undercover cops in, you guessed it, 22 Jump Street. This time their captain, played by Ice Cube, sends them to college. How involved is everybody in the scriptwriting process, or even just in the creative process in general?
Well, everybody contributes. That's what's so fun about working on a movie is best idea wins, and we try to keep it really open. Jonah, Chan, and Cube, and the rest of the cast are great improvisers, and they have great ideas, and we've talked to them already, hopefully, about the scene.
Script, and like we talked to Cube, and he was like, I don't think I would say this, is how I would say that.
So it works like that. I mean, there's no, like, if you're getting a bigger part in it, are you excited, and are you kind of like, what if Captain Dixon tried this?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
There's that conversation, which we
Yeah.
had. That's the one we were late to. We talked about that.
There's
what
a
if
scene,
Captain Dixon shows up on time, guys?
Right.
Like,
Well, there's a scene where Dixon tasers Jonah in the nuts, and that was Cube's idea from that from the lunch that we had. Going like, I feel like I have a responsibility to do this bit, and
well, that's interesting because I don't want to give away the plot of that at all.
Right.
But is that something that you would do given the situation?
Pretty much, especially if it
This is
was a colleague,
when the movie comes out, you can come back and rewatch this moment, and that's what this is about.
Yes, yes. I felt like for all the fathers in the audience who just thinking about a colleague, get him.
And you also had very specific point of views about what that taser looked like. So I remember we brought something to say, you're like, no, that's not what it is.
No hand-to-hand taser. We needed the kind with the
shoots out the
shoots out. Not gonna get too close with the taser.
And then you had to hear that and just be like, he's totally right. Like,
He's totally right.
to shoot the thing out into the dick. Like,
He was right.
Work that way.
You can't go there with one of them hand jobs, man. You start looking funny.
This is probably the 6th or 7th time you've played a cop, right? Maybe even more than that?
It's been a few times.
And now the first time you played a cop was Charles Burnett's The Glass Shield, which was sort of in line a little bit
Well,
with...
I wasn't a cop in Glass Shit.
Were you a rookie?
No, I was actually being harassed by the cops.
Been a
So
while.
that was more, on that tip. It's the first time I played somewhat of a cop, I think a bounty hunter, that's when I started to dibble and dabble into the law enforcement roles.
Well, it's interesting that you do the law enforcement roles. I mean, considering fuck the police.
Yeah.
Well, how has your belief or your ideas on law enforcement changed since then? And after having played cops, I'm wondering if you've ever had to do research to play a cop and met a cop who was like, oh, you wrote fuck the police.
No. Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Let me show you around.
I'm Officer of Police.
Well, to answer your first question, my thought about the police have not changed. I still hate bad cops. I still hate cops that abuse their authority. I love cops when something's wrong and you call them and they come do their job. Nothing's wrong with them. But the cops that's, using their badge to abuse the people, they still suck. And, and the thing is, I'm a movie star, okay? You might not know this, but I'm literally a movie star. And I wouldn't want to typecast myself by not taking great roles in great movies. These are movies that I would go see, so they're movies that I would play, and that's my job as an actor, is to take on the role and make it believable and make sure they pay me a whole lot more than a regular street cop.
Well, with that song and with the NWA, the early part of your career as a musician was built off so much of really incredibly executed rage, lyrically. And I'm curious, how you if there's still a venue that you need to get that rage out at all. I mean, because Captain Dixon is kind of a comedic version of that rage, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing where we've always been fighting for a piece of the American dream, the American pie, so to speak. And when you get it, it's kind of, you realize this is what I've been fighting for. And, you start to speak for other people who are still fighting for their chance. So, there's still places, I think, that my music and the things I say are relevant and potent, and stuff gets me just as mad now as it did in 85, 86, and 87. So, it's still issues that I think are on the table that need to be discussed. And just because I've made it, to me, I'm in more of a position to speak for the people who can't speak for themselves.
I don't really like the word controversy because a lot of times that's used in a negative way. The film was made to have people talk.
Yeah.